in my culture, I always found it strange how the women would get excited about baby boys. And from a standpoint of being a woman, for any woman who's a mom, the most important thing, yes, you probably want a twin or a boy or a girl. Maybe you had a girl, you want a boy. Maybe you had a boy, you want a girl. Maybe you want all girls. But at the end of the day, your goal is to have a healthy baby, right? You want a healthy baby. But what I've noticed, and especially in Caribbean communities, is the obsession with having a baby boy. Okay? I think that there is a strong internalized misogyny in the community of women, which is why I always prepare women, right? Anybody that works with me, that does calls with me, that is a part of the mentorship program, I'm always warning women about how misogynistic other women are and how they have to prepare themselves for your intelligence to trigger other women. You got to prepare yourself for you being comfortable in your own skin to trigger another woman. You have to prepare yourself for possibly being the daughter and treated differently than all of your brothers, because your mother favors men over women all the time. So I'm always opening women's eyes to the bigger picture here. And it can be something as small as someone feeling like you're wearing makeup because you're going on a date, instead of realizing you're just wearing makeup because you like to wear makeup. It's fun. You like to look good when you go out. That's really all it is. But they're turning it into you seeking some type of attention when you're really just wearing makeup and curling your hair and wearing your face mask because that's what makes you feel good. But because of the misogyny that is embedded within a lot of women, that's where the male-centeredness and the male identification and tearing another woman down because she's smart, that's where that's where the lack of competition and the community of women comes in, where, there is no, you're always going to hate the woman that's doing more for some reason. But you don't hate the man that's doing more. And you see how much women will spend all this money on all these books: how to get a man in 90 days, how to get a man to propose to you in 90 days, how to get a man this, how to understand a man that, which is great. You want to understand the opposite gender and gather some type of data so you know what you're working with. But you're more focused on understanding them than understanding your own gender. If women are able to understand their own gender, they will be able to be on the lookout for certain low-level, bottom-of-the-barrel behaviors to avoid and to also not engage in. Okay? I was talking about this, and you guys can catch my other video coming out later today on practicality versus personal, where when a woman is attacking another woman, whether it's virtually or in person, I'm going to pay attention to what she has to say. If you're going after a woman's sex, who she's been linked to, her face, her body, her hair, if you're pointing out low-level, bottom-of-the-barrel BS, you don't have a problem with that woman. You have certain misogynistic traits that she triggers from her existing. I always tell women, if you're policing another woman's sexual history and you're policing who women are linked to, it's giving internalized misogyny, because why are you trying to police her body? Right? But we've normalized these things, like picking a woman's looks apart. You're a woman. Why are you picking apart a woman's look? Oh, she laid on the table. Yeah, she laid on the table. What does that have to do with you? Again, you are taking these masculine energies. Well, let me not say masculine energy. Masculine energy doesn't really have anything to do with that. Masculine energy is just being structured and orderly and being goal driven. let me not say that, but you are essentially, and the thing is, men see this too, even though men are a part of the patriarchy. Men see this with their wives and their girlfriends' friends, and how it's all about control, right? Internalized misogyny goes under the radar in the community of women, right? What it looks like, how it looks, what it is. One of the biggest internalized misogyny that you will find is in, of course, male-centered women. And sometimes a woman doesn't have to be male-centered for her to be a misogynist. Why? I see the way that another woman being confident triggers other women. I see the way another woman being intelligent triggers another woman. I see how women police other women's vaginas, meaning you know all of this woman's business. You know who she's connected to. You know who she slept with. You knew what man she deals with. Women pay close attention to other women's vaginas. They kind of want to control women in every single area. A good example of this is, I went to the doctor's office a couple of days ago, and I had on, I think I had on jeans, a blouse, some heels. I just went to go get some annual blood work done. And one of the nurses there, she's like, "Ooh, you must be going on a date after this appointment." And I thought that was so weird, that anytime a woman looks nice and is carrying herself well, you would translate that as this has to be done for a man. You can't just translate that as she just likes to look good for herself. But that's how deep the internalized misogyny goes in with the community of women, that they just can't fathom. They just can't fathom the fact that a woman would just be looking good because she just wants to look good. And that's just what it is. It's not about a man or anything like that. Internalized misogyny in the community of women is a huge, 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 huge problem. This is something that can only be fixed. The internalized misogyny in the community of women can only be fixed from birth, meaning you have to uproot the root of misogyny from the time the little girl is a child, right? Because you will start to see signs of the misogyny in the little girl from the time she's young, right? You will start to see it, and then when you see it, that is when you start uprooting it. So, for example, I'll give you some examples of internalized misogyny in the community of women. We know that there are men out there who have a problem with women who are confident, women who like themselves, women who are solid within themselves. But the scary part about it is women also have an issue with women who like themselves, right? There was a content creator that did a comparison where she spoke about how women prefer women who have it all, but are quiet about it. They don't want you to talk about how intelligent you are as a woman. They don't want you to talk about how beautiful you are as a woman. Women don't want you to talk about how great you are. Women don't like that. That's when women start saying, "Oh, she's too pompous." I'll have women email me, "Oh, Mel, you're too pompous. You're too arrogant. You're too this. You're too that." No, you don't like this because it's on a woman, though. Internally, you have a problem with women who like themselves. You just don't like it, right? So I always tell women that pay attention to the women in your family who have an issue, who not even have an issue. What I've noticed is I come from a Caribbean background. And my Caribbean background, baby boys don't have to do anything but exist, and they get praised, right? In Caribbean backgrounds, baby boys are the kings of the house. They don't have to do chores. They don't have to clean. They don't have to cook. They don't have to help out. They don't have to do anything, because there's a lot of internalized misogyny in Caribbean families. The baby boys, they want baby boys. That's usually their preference. And he gets to do whatever he wants while the baby girl gets slaved. You have to pay attention, because sometimes the misogyny is cultural as well. But a lot of women naturally have an issue with seeing other women win. I always tell women, when you are on your path to winning, mark my words, pay attention to who tries to knock you off. It's going to be a woman. There's an 85% chance that the person that's pulling strings behind the scenes, it's going to be another woman, because most women hate other women, and they hate to see other women happy, progressing, and successful. They'll never admit it, but they hate it. And you will see it when you see how quickly women will turn on you when your success starts to come in, or when you start to lose weight. What happens when an overweight girl loses weight? When an overweight woman loses weight, she loses friends, right? Women don't want you to be in a state where you like yourself more, right? So if a woman loses weight, or she gets married, that's another major part too. When a woman gets married, some women will stop talking to you because you feel happier and more established, right? So again, these misogynistic traits, women attacking other women for getting plastic surgery, that's another major thing. Attacking a woman's looks. If a woman laid down on the table and got plastic surgery, what does that have to do with you? How does that affect you? How does that change you? How does that affect your life? Why do you care? If you're going to attack a woman on something, attack her on something that is relevant, not the fact that she got work done or her butt done, or why do you care? I don't understand why that's why does that mean anything? Right? So I had a colleague that was having a complaint about one of her coworkers and how things were not being submitted on time. I said, okay, thank you for letting me know. Do you have any reference points, like any emails, anything that I can use as reference about her not turning things in on time? And she provided me with the paperwork I needed. I said, okay, I will speak to the associate, and I will find out why she's not turning things in on time. It could be because we are short staffed. So it could be maybe she's overwhelmed, but I'll get to the bottom of it. I'll take care of it. Thank you for turning this in. I will speak to her. I will take care of it. I will get to the bottom of it. So as we're standing there, and she's kind of, giving me more reference and speaking more about this colleague, I noticed something in the conversation. She starts mentioning the plastic surgery that this woman got done, right? She's like, oh yeah, she's coming in here with her BBL and her fake boobs and her Botox. And I said, okay, that's enough. And she looked at me very confused when I told her that. I said, that's enough. Now you're talking crazy. Now it's no longer about work. Now it's no longer about the real issue here. This conversation is going in a playground direction. I've heard enough. If you want to speak about what she's doing wrong, what's incomplete, that's fine. But the minute you start to pick apart a woman's looks, I'm sorry, for me, it's giving hater. I don't know what else to give you, because out of all the things you can attack a woman on, if her looks are your primary route of attacks, it makes you look a certain type of way. And I told her this, and I said, what does her breasts, I didn't even know she had got her boobs done. Well, good for her. If she did, they look very natural. Shouts to the surgeon that did it. I'm guessing her boobs look very natural. I said, I don't understand what her breasts or her BBL have to do with your complaints. Like, those are not valid points to bring up in a complaint. And let's just say from that conversation that as colleagues, she's been very cold with me. And I don't care. But I can tell that she didn't like the fact that I kind of brought her back to planet Earth again. You think you're going to go in front of our COO and tell him what you're telling me about BBLs and breasts? You're saying it to me because you think I'm going to form a hive with you. There's an angle there. When a woman does enhancements, whatever it is, her hair, her nails, her breasts, her lips, her boobs, her Botox, BBL, liposuction, body rejuvenation, all the beauty products, facials. You picking that apart makes you a misogynist, ma'am. And you don't even realize it. And second of all, if you're going to pick a woman's looks apart, FYI, I hope you look better than her. Yes. If you're going to pick a woman's looks apart and you're going to start pinpointing her breasts, her butt, her hips, her thighs, her face, I hope you're looking better than her, because if you don't, you've already lost. And I know that, again, people don't like to hear this stuff, but it's real. If you're going to pick apart her work, if you're going to pick apart that she can't turn things in on time, if you're going to pick apart things that she's done to other people, if you're going to pick apart her shortcomings as far as an associate and how she deals with her clients, that's different. But if you're going to pick apart her looks and she looks better than you, ma'am, you've already lost. You don't have a foot to stand on. You don't have a foot to stand on. And that's just being real, right? Second to that, when it comes to the internalized misogyny in the community of women, you're a woman. Another way women do this is when they bash other women for having men that take care of them very well. Okay? When a woman starts to clown another woman because a man is investing in her and taking care of her, you're a woman yourself. Are you promoting that women should be with men who can't enhance their lives? I would hope not. I've seen a woman that came into one of my corporate spaces that I worked at years ago. And when she came in, she was an older woman in her 60s. She came in and she has a husband that's a millionaire. And it's almost like the people were assuming that she's not gonna, they're like, oh, she has her man just takes care of her. She's not gonna make any numbers. She's not gonna do any numbers. She's not going to hit any major marks. It's like they were judging her because she had a millionaire husband that took good care of her. And again, this is where the internalized misogyny comes in with a lot of women, or the self-hatred towards their own gender. You rarely see men bashing other men for getting the best picks, right? You never see men bashing other men for having, I guess the most attractive women, or having the most elegant women, or having the best cars. You don't really see men attacking each other for that, but women are attacking other women for having certain benefits, right? So this woman came in and they were looking down on her, like, oh, she has a rich husband, she's stupid, she's not going to get anywhere. And then when she outsold all of them, And she literally ran laps around them. They couldn't believe it because, again, they're internalized misogynists. They think this woman has a man who takes care of her. Mind you, you're taking care of your men, right? Like, you're taking care of your man just to say that you have one, right? But this woman has a man who's willing to hire chefs for her, hire cleaners for her, hire maids for her, hire nannies for her, hire drivers for her. She's living that life that you low-key wish you had access to. And this is, again, this goes back to, there's a lot of lying in the community of women, right? So that women lie about what they really want a lot. If you had an opportunity, ma'am, to have a millionaire husband give you all your needs, you're going to tell me you would decline that? You can't get it. You can't get it. So because you can't get it, you are going to bully and attack the woman that can. Okay? So, I'm not saying that's an excuse for a woman to be with a guy that takes care of her and not do anything for herself. Obviously not. But the fact that you're making fun of her because she's walking into the establishment and she's trying something new and you're making fun of her, that shows some internalized misogyny. You think that because she's a woman who has a man that takes good care of her, that she won't have the mental capacity to break barriers. But the joke was on you guys because she outsold all of you. She outsold all of you so much that they opened up a separate office for her. The owner of the company, this woman sold so much in revenue that the CEO of the company, he opened up another office specifically for her and her team. They moved her and her team over because her team was growing so rapidly and they were bringing in so much money to the company that he said, you know what, I'm going to open up another office for her. And that's a checkmate. Checkmate, right? The woman who breaks the most barriers is going to shut the mouths of the woman who can't shut their mouths. She's going to shut their mouths with her success. Success is the best revenge. Never forget that. So it's just the way that they underestimated her because she had a husband that took care of her. The way that they automatically assumed that because she has a man that takes care of her, she's not mentally equipped enough to break barriers is a pure example when I say there's a misogyny problem in the community of women, an internalized misogyny where you are going after a woman's looks. Side note, if you don't look better than her, you've already lost. So don't bother picking apart a woman's looks that you don't look better than. You've already lost. Second to that, picking apart a woman who lost weight. You know, some women, when they lose weight, women will start saying, oh, you look sick. Or, you know, I remember when I was in high school, I lost a whole bunch of weight because I was eating so healthy. And this girl told me, oh, I thought you had an STD. She literally told me that she thought I had an STD, but that's how hateful women are to each other. They're so hateful. So to claim that I have an STD because I lost a lot of weight and I did the work and I went in the gym, and this same chick blew up into a whale, by the way, and was messaging me on DMs, begging me for pointers on how she can lose weight. So secretly, you wanted to learn how I lost weight the whole time. But again, women don't like seeing other women in confident states. Women don't like when other women like themselves or are progressing in the beauty department. So their first reflex is to pick it apart. You could have asked me, instead of saying, oh, Mel, you lost all that weight, I thought you had a STD. Instead of coming at me that way, you could have told me, I would have went to the gym with you. I would have picked you up in my car and we would have worked out together, and I would have showed you all the things that I did and all the things that I ate. But because you're so hateful, you couldn't go that route. You had to attack me. Again, it's internalized misogyny. Beating down a woman, we see this in the, what is that movie? What's that movie called? Melina. Women will always be, any woman who's progressing, women will be your biggest threats, by the way. They're always going to try to come after you. They're always going to try to pick something apart, especially if you're trying to be successful. This reminds me of Melissa Ford. There was a clip from her interview. If it wasn't for copyright, I would put it in, where she said when she was a video girl, it was awful what she went through. And we saw the same thing with Corinne Steffens. Two very, very beautiful women. But again, there's a lot of misogyny in the community of women, internalized misogyny. When Corinne Steffens came out with that book speaking about what she went through, I'm actually going to try to reach out to her and see if I can get her on a episode. The internalized misogyny that she dealt with when she was just speaking her truth about what she went through, and the women were saying that she was a liar or siding with the men because they're mad that the men that they were messing with was messing with Corinne Steffens at the same time. And again, the misogyny and the men have done a great job at transferring misogyny to women, because women are some of the biggest misogynists that you'll ever encounter. Are you socially awkward? If this is something that you are struggling with, the ability to have superb social skills, etiquette, the ability to understand social cues, the ability to go in a room, read the room, work the room, and put your best foot in. Are your emotions controlling you, or are you controlling your emotions? Emotional control is a big thing. In this class, we will talk about the skills, a little bit of the skill of thinking as well, and just how you can live your life in a way where your emotions are not your master.